I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are ready to take that next step. Welcome in or welcome back. We're talking about good basketball teams again, and this time we're talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder. They had a great run last year. SGA was potentially going to be an MVP candidate. He was second in MVP voting. Chet Holmgren was the runner-up for Rookie of the Year. Jalen Williams was on a fringe all-star level, and I think we're only going to elevate our play from here on out. I'm going to work from the top here for all of the players on the roster. SGA. I've talked with a couple of people within my circle. I think that he has just as good a chance as anybody, along with Luka Doncic, to break through that mold and be an MVP. I think the thing that really holds him back is the small market that he's in and the fact that he didn't make the finals this year. I think that if I were to pick a preseason favorite right now on who was going to win MVP, it would be Luka Doncic. A lot of it is because of his play style, but if I'm being intellectually honest, both of their play styles and stat production are really similar. It's only that Luka is in a bigger market than Oklahoma City, and he's coming off of a finals run. He lost, but in the media's eyes, I think it's going to play a really big part, that they've seen him on a big stage, and that's going to carry over into this next season. And I definitely don't think that means that SGA is going to fall off or anything like that. I think that SGA is probably going to average essentially 35 and 5 a night. With this roster, I think with him at the helm, I think that we're talking about a very dangerous team in the playoffs. Because, yeah, Chet Holmgren is really good. I know that he missed his first rookie year because of the injury, and he came in at the same rookie year for Victor Wembanyama. And Vic is obviously a super generational talent. I'm not taking anything away from that. If Chet had played his rookie year, if he hadn't got hurt, we would be saying all of those same things that we said about Victor Wembanyama this year about Chet Holmgren. He is that good. He's that good of a defender. He is that good at stretching the floor. He's that good at protecting the rim. He is a great player. And it's almost unfair how he was able to be paired up with someone as good as SGA. And then you have Jalen Williams, who I think shot up in a lot of people's eyes last year. I don't think that anyone really considered him as this fringe all-star guy, but all of his numbers are definitely backing that up. And I don't see a scenario where the Thunder don't have 3 all-stars this year. Just to praise Jalen Williams a little bit more, looking at his stats, almost 20 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, 5 assists a game, shooting a tremendous 38% from 3, and being someone who isn't a defensive liability, but isn't a super great defender, but still averaged a steal and a half a game, is such good value that, again, I think it's almost unfair that you were pairing him up with Chet Holmgren and SGA. And then, of course, we have to talk about the extra pickups that they had this year. First and foremost, Alex Caruso. He definitely doesn't fit the timeline of some of this young core. Obviously, SGA is a little bit older than everybody else, but everyone else is, pretty young. They can't rent a rental car yet. So having Alex Caruso, someone who is a world-renowned defender, someone who has that championship experience, someone who has all defensive team experience, is really going to help this team. They were already good defensively because of the guys like Chet Holmgren and Lou Dort, but adding him to the mix really makes this team super hard to score on. And then you go out and pick up Isaiah Hartenstein. I have gone on record before and I said that it seems like the secret sauce in the NBA is to have a forward who can stretch the defense a little bit, shoot the three, still defend the rim a little bit, but then also have this more traditional center who can rebound and block shots and play good, post defense. And that's exactly what they did. They picked up Isaiah Hartenstein, who was great in New York. I think that he wanted maybe a little bit too much money to warrant staying in New York. And now that everything has unfolded the way that it has, it seems like it's worked out for both parties. The Oklahoma City Thunder get that traditional center that they've been looking for, and the New York Knicks get Karl Anthony Towns. It looks like it's working for both parties, but I think that this may actually be as impactful as a Karl Anthony Towns trade for the Oklahoma City Thunder, because again, last year, when you're looking at Chet Holmgren, the only positions where he actually struggled were against people like Jokic and Joel Embiid and Giannis, someone who is more filled out, someone who is broodier, someone who's built a little bit wider than Chet Holmgren is. Now you don't have to worry about that. Chet Holmgren doesn't have to guard the traditional fives anymore. He can stretch the defense out and, again, cause a lot of problems. And because of the way that this offense works, how it's SGA-centric, but everybody else is so good at pulling gravity, at creating gravity for other players on their team, there's going to be a ton of open looks this year, and I think that Isaiah Hartenstein is going to be the beneficiary of a lot of that. So I just went through their starting five, and you may be thinking to yourself, wow, didn't think about that. That's a really good starting five. Should I mention that they also have three-point absolute sniper Isaiah Joe? Should I mention the fact that they have the Dortcher chamber, Lou Dort? Should I mention the fact that they have Cason Wallace, who is as good of a backup point guard as there is in the league? There's so much talent on this team that it's really starting to piss me off as someone who is a contender for a championship in the Boston Celtics. I'm really high on this team. I don't see a scenario where they don't take that extra step this year. They had to take their lumps. They're a really young team. They were a really young team last year, and they're going to be young this year. But you took your lumps last year, so it's time to break through. It's time for the opportunity to play in the Western Conference Finals or even the NBA Finals. And if you have what I consider to be potential seasons for the players that I'm getting ready to list off, an MVP season from SGA, a Defensive Player of the Year, candidacy year for Chet Holmgren, and an All-Star season from Jalen Williams, I think there's a real possibility that we're looking at the Thunder to be the Western Conference champions and who represents the West in the NBA Finals. And if I were to guess right now, I don't think that they would beat someone like the Knicks or the Celtics, but I think that they would give them a really good run for their money. And I know that there's a lot of really good talent in the West, but I'd have to imagine, just on paper right now, I'd have to say that it is very easily and very clearly the Oklahoma City Thunder who are the best team in the West. But I guess we'll just have to see how that plays out this year. What do you think of the Thunder? Do you think SGA is going to win the MVP? Let me know down in the comments below. Check my link tree while you're at it. Join the Discord. Be kind. Tell somebody you love them. And I'll see you tomorrow.